Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Dadsigner podcast. On today's episode, I have Joe Barron from New York City on, and we met through Threads, which has been a super awesome avenue to meet other dads who are designers for me. And so, Joe, tell the people a little bit about who you are, your design background, and obviously a little bit about your family.
Uh, my name is Joe Barron. I'm owner of Branded Barron. I'm based in New York City. Be a pretty much delving in branding and all forms of it, whether it's from merchandise, apparel, which it's part of branding, and all that information. Do a lot of art direction. I do a lot of photography. I encompass everything and just kind of help brands go big or go home. Just be the next trailblazer.
Nice. And yeah, you're a dad of one son.
Yes,
Is that right?
I have a
Um,
I have a
nice.
son. He's a little toddler. Came around during one of those pandemic babies.
Okay.
So it's been interesting to see him growing around, getting bigger and learning, and just having big feelings.
Yeah.
So it's
Yeah.
it's it's been really interesting, especially uh, working remote for
Yeah.
for the last couple of years. It's just been interesting to see and interact with him, and it's just you know he's
Yeah.
my little guy.
Nice. Nice. And were you before he came along? Were you in house? Were you agency, or did you have your own thing? How long have you been doing your own thing?
Well, so it's I was working for primarily was working entirely for a company. Before that, doing a lot of apparel graphics. I was really knocking out a bunch of Harley Davidson apparel, doing that. Getting art directing there, working with them. So to make sure that all the seasonal catalog stuff works out and top notch artwork. Always doing that, loving doing that, loving bringing other freelancers at the time to do that. And then eventually, I just not too long ago just decided to go full time on my own. I did have Brandon Barron, at one point, and it was primarily just as a little clothing line and design business, which eventually branched off to get me this one position. And then after a while, just I stopped doing that to focus on that company, and then decided, hey, let's get back into the real thing. Let's get back to the into the grind.
Nice. Nice. Very awesome. And yeah, the I was on your site and I know ton of apparel work. The hat that you're wearing right now is an
Yes,
owl logo.
yes,
Um, and yeah, tell me a little bit about that because I know there's some backstory of how your son kind of influenced that a little bit.
yes.
Talk
So
to us about
this
that.
specific hat, owl logo, I created. The little guy, just I would always draw, and for whatever reason, he just I, I think I drew an owl because there was a meme about how to draw an owl. It's step one, circles, circles, and then step two, draw the rest of the owl. And it's like a complete finished owl. And so I was thinking of that, and I was thinking how to simplify it for a kid to be able to appreciate it. And I started doing it. He liked it and would always request me to do it. Would always request me to do it more and more and more. And then eventually I was just sketching. I was like, what if I made like a logo, a sports themed logo mascot. And while I was sketching, I sketched a couple of my mascots, got out my notebook. I was like, all right, here are the options. I was like, hey, I was going to do it anyway. I was going to pick my personal favorite. He chose. He's like that one. I'm like, sure, yes, okay. So then I worked on the colors. I brought it into Illustrator, vectored it up a bit, show them different colorways. I didn't do black and white. I just, let me just show them colors because, let them see the colors. Like, do you like this one? Or do you like this one or this one? And he goes, that one. I was like, all right, do you like it in red? Do you like it in blue? Do you like this one? That one. Are you sure? Okay. I did. Like, are you sure? This is good. Like, definitive. His mom didn't have a choice. I didn't have a choice. It was him. I didn't even persuade him. He was, this was the only client that you had free range, and I gave you the okay. I wasn't trying to, show the best one because like I was making sure all of them were the best. And then after a while, I just let me just have the little guy wear shirts or a hat, a toddler hat, and made one for myself, and just and then he rocked around. Actually, yesterday we were at the park, and I didn't realize I wanted him to wear the owl shirt, and then he wanted to wear a hat, and the hat that we had on in the stroller was just the toddler hat with the owl. I was like, you look like a fan, a big fan. People are gonna ask you what sports team. You a fan of the Owls? So it was
Nice.
just fun. So it was just it was a fun personal project, which I think it was just fun to get to exercise something like that. How many times do you get to own mascot logos for yourself or for your child?
Yeah, yeah. What do you think? I mean, the role was reversed a little bit there. You go from art director to being art directed by a, 2.5, 3-year old. What was that experience like?
Yeah. Well, so, I mean, I had the whole concept and vision, so it was more. It was more. I would say it would be more of a balanced partnership there.
Nice.
So, I was the one that gave him the options. He just happened to appreciate it, and it actually was kind of cool. It was cool, fun experience that he got to. That I'll tell him later on when he gets older to actually realize what happened.
Yeah, yeah,
But
yeah,
it was a fun role, I guess, role reversal in a bit. Yeah, so it was exciting, and you know, everyone's here. That's cute. I want one. I want one. The family will. We'll have one. We'll all get one. I'm even hearing people. You know, his aunt was trying to tell me that, hey, you should make it into like a storybook, turn into a whole story and everything. I'm just like, I like the idea. I just don't think the specific owl would be fitting for that. I think
sure.
it's more sports themed or just more of a mascot looking than a cuddly little kids book.
Yeah, yeah. Do you think you would have gone through that far, had apparel made, all that kind of stuff, if it wasn't for your son's excitement and just him loving it so much?
Oh, absolutely. I'm thinking as you were asking that question, I was like, yeah, no, I wouldn't have done that. I would have just simple mock-ups and just showcase it on social media and be like, hey, this is what I've done. It's a cool project. Blah 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 blah. Have the explanation for that. But if he wasn't like fully involved and fully excited about it, I don't think. Yeah, I wouldn't have actually have the physical product. And again, physical products are always like always feels so much better in
Yeah,
person. Just looking at the
totally.
final work, final result. Whether you're looking at it on whether it's digital and looking at the TV or out and about in the world, it's just cool to see. So
Yeah, yeah. Any other projects that you can think of that he either inspired or influenced the final design on?
so there's kind of two. So I have this. I like for his birthday. I like to make coloring books. So I
Oh,
have this
cool.
one right here. Little
Nice.
coloring books with Brandon Barron, of course. Let them know. Let all the other parents know who they can contact for. And so it's this one is a lot. A little bit more educational. I made one before. I made it. I just like drawing. He's gonna eventually like the color and likes. It takes a while, but he likes participating. All these things have themes. Like he knows the planets. So I had one page where I just have the explain the planets and go through all 8 planets. I mean, he knows the dwarf planets. That's right. If you aren't familiar, there's 5 dwarf planets in the solar system. He knows that. But then subways and the subway. I don't know if I have it here. Nope. That's the park. The subway. He likes trains, whether it's
Yeah.
steam trains, Thomas the Tank Engine or whatever. He helped. He liked it, participated. I had this in Procreate, and so he just happened to take my iPad and he sees it as a coloring book, and he would just doodle. And from that one picture, I was like, let's what the hell? Let's just make a or Dad, what the heck? We I made a shirt out of it, but it's more of a collaboration. It has his scribbles because whatever brush he was using at the time, the ink brush that I let him use for Procreate, it just looked really cool. I was like, this is actually pretty cool. Like the way he scribbled it on, I'm like, I could see that. Like that could actually work as a shirt. So that was one of it, one idea that I've made, and but it's always fun to make these coloring books, whether it's for his birthday or for for the preschoolers. It's just something fun and exciting. I think I have a couple left that I have to.
Nice.
I know it's on my Etsy, but I'm not sure if it's on my Brandon Barron store, online store.
Very cool. Yeah, and I know you mentioned earlier that you had created some Harley Davidson apparel over the years,
Yeah.
and leading up before the podcast, you mentioned that one day he got to wear that shirt, and so like, what's that full circle moment of like, you make this stuff, obviously to get paid to go out into the world because you're an artist, but then on top of that, to see your son wearing the stuff that you made, what is that feeling?
So that's always cool. In the back of my mind, when I first started, I always wondered like if I ever did have a child, son or daughter. I was like, if I, if I would want them to wear some of the stuff that I designed. So just putting something forward, something that you created out into the world and have them wear it. It's kind of a cool feeling. And I just always thought, you know what? Let me just always have something cool that I was involved with. And I mean, pretty much the parents and the family will know, but it was something that like, hey, I got a couple samples made. They were printed. This is out in the world. This is being sold in stores and at their dealerships, and um, so like I got it, and I was like, he looks so cute in it too. It's like when you see little kids and stuff like that, it's just like, oh, this is awesome. He's wearing a motorcycle or whatever. I mean, no skulls because I don't think that's not appropriate for the little toddlers, little kiddies. Maybe I don't know. So there's some for me anyway. I didn't have to make sure that the bottom line that they were sellable. We could actually sell and make the money.
Right.
But it was just cool to just see that from the final production, from the beginning, from the full development, when I'm planning everything out, seeing what would work, seeing what color shirts that would go on, seeing it fully printed, and then having them wear it. It was awesome. It would have been cool if they had a photo shoot of it, see what have them rock it, come in, hey buddy,
Yeah.
just pose here.
Yeah. Yeah. That's always fun. I've seen other designers or parents in the professional realm have their kids on set for different shoots, and I always thought that would be a cool thing to do.
Yeah, I was at
Um,
a the other day. I was in a photography studio in Soho with another family friend with her daughters, and it was just cool. Like we brought our son, and it was just like the photographer that they knew was just like was a designer. Like was really she was a designer who just wanted to see what it would look like on the kids. She was still tinkering around and feeling it, but it was just kind of cool. I'm like, here, and I know how to pose people, so I'm like, here, look this way, put your hand in the pocket, the jacket, and like, just it was cool, and we got a little Polaroids out of it, so it was
nice.
um because it's not going to be released for anything else. Otherwise, I'd have a model release signed and all
Right.
that.
Right. Yeah, that's really cool. You also mentioned that you work from home, right?
Yes.
And as a, it's nice when you're freelance to be able to have flexibility, but is that inherent distraction that there's a child around, and whether it's you know just wanting to go help out or here in the other room, how do you balance and manage working and being a dad, and especially from home?
Well, first we had to have help. So it's either a daycare or have a nanny help out if you don't have family that could do it for you. In that case, we opted out of the daycare and decided to go with a nanny, and it worked out better because now, we got to see him grow in person. So like
Yeah.
that part is phenomenal. It's awesome. He, again, pre-pandemic, if it wasn't a pandemic, he'd probably see me. I would be in the office, and but now being fully remote it's just a great experience. The tough part is when there's meetings or
Hmm.
calls or important calls where he just hops right in, jumps right in. And I was
Yeah.
like, okay, hold on, or have to mute or cover, like, or have to end it real quick if I have that luxury to do so. But usually the help is kind of help to get away. But I'm here within distance, and be able to interact and be able to help them grow and step away. We go out for a walk, we go to the park. As long as all my work was needed, it was done, and clients are happy or whatever, I could, let's go out, let's go outside. If it's nice, let's play, do whatever we have to do to just interact and see him grow. It's amazing. But it is tough when he's like, we can't do anything, and his mom can't do anything. He's there when she's here.
Yeah.
So it's like full on. He wants her. He gives me a little room sometimes. Sometimes I can't do much. Sometimes I've had him on my lap while I'm typing stuff up, or doing simple, probably more administration tasks. I can't
Yeah.
really create or design anything with him around, unless it's like finalized, where like I could change colors and then colors that could be fun. But yeah, it's a I say it's a lot more pros in that you get to see them grow, especially when they say that the first 5 years are very instrumental and for
Yeah.
helping them grow in their brain. So it's like, again, I got to see his first steps. That was awesome. You hear people saying they were out of town, like, oh, she walked, he walked, and it's like, I wasn't there, I missed it. I have to wait the next time around. I got to see him firsthand. Both did. So it's great. Every little step is just so cool. Like
Yeah.
seeing them from that little baby to now they're just growing, running around and speaking, and just observing every little thing and repeating anything that you say. So, my
Yeah.
God.
Yeah. It seems like, and I was talking with a guest last week, but like there seems to be a bit of a shift. Like 90s parents were not around for any of that, and it was just normal and everyone was fine with it. But now it seems like there's an era generation of this, current moment where those types of things are prioritized and important, and we're choosing jobs and job types that can allow us to be there a bit more. With this being the Dadsigner podcast, do you feel like you've seen that shift too, and do you have any thoughts or ideas on like why that might be happening?
So I feel, what? I think it really depends on I think the shift has been more people know a little bit more. There's always constant different. Everybody's learning a little bit more how the brain functions, how the kids react to this and that. So even yelling is like super bad for their mental health, saying as bad as getting hit, right? So it's just there's a lot of information coming out. So I think that's part of it. Everyone wants to know, and everyone wants to be either. Some people have had bad parenting experiences where they want to shift and change. Like I know a couple of people who just like, no, I'm not going to be like that. Make sure I do everything. I have a friend who's like, my dad was a deadbeat. Like wasn't there. I had, I'm raising my kids. I'm always there. And then you have people who just want to continue that cycle of loving, being there. I mean, they want to be there as often now. A lot of people like to, they want to see their kids, and it just kind of you want to grow. I mean, just take care of everything. I mean, the world's crazy, so try to enjoy every minute of it. So, I mean, I don't know if that really answered any of your questions, but it's just there's a shift, I think, trying to be more positive, and I think that's what people want. They want the best for the kids, and I think everybody's really always had that at heart. But now we just have a lot more experiences, a lot more experience, and a lot more knowledge about how to try to at least attempt to do that.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense. Totally. Yeah, I'm wondering as you have parented, what has been your biggest parenting struggle or maybe failure? And then I'll ask you about success after this. But yeah, what's been the biggest struggle or parenting failure?
I think the struggle for me is acting like he's old enough to know, and to appreciate, like when I'll get upset at something, and have to be reminded that he's just a kid. He's not fully there. His frontal lobe isn't fully developed. So all of that is that's a big part. It's just kind of hard to can't be upset at somebody who doesn't know, who's still learning everything,
Yeah.
and it just it's a lot of repetition. So
Yeah.
just kind of drill it into you know that's I think that's part of it. Getting upset at certain things where we all get upset. It's not like I'm like yelling 24/7 or this or that. I'm just trying. It's just you kind of hope that certain things are stick and just
Yeah.
it's not it's only he wants fun all the time, and just like we got to clean up, we got to pick up his toys, can you please pick that up, can you and just not listening. Just it's eventually going to happen throughout. I'm sure your kids, they still don't listen. I think that's a whole that's a universal thing. I think I didn't listen when I was a kid. I know my I have siblings, they didn't listen, so it's just more it's just one of those things. I mean, even now,
Yeah.
adults, we don't listen. We everyone's
Right.
a selective listener.
Yeah. 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 That's a really good point about how like different ages can understand things differently. Um, my wife and I always talk about how, especially during like beginning of the school year or a big milestone change, their behaviors tend to get big. Whether it's tantrums or all of a sudden what was fine last week for them is now not fine and they're complaining about it nonstop. And we remind each other quite frequently, like, all right, something bigger is happening under the surface that is causing this outburst, but they don't have the emotional regulation to be able to articulate, oh yeah, I had a really hard day at school today, and so now I'm giving you a hard time. They don't have necessarily the vocabulary and everything to talk about that. So it's um yeah, I often think that my 7-year-old is at the mental capacity that my 10-year-old is at, and so I start telling her things. I'm like, oh wait, you're not there yet. Like I gotta rewind a bit.
Yeah, and you brought up a good point to realize that there's an underlying issue that they can't express themselves,
Yeah.
and if you're seeing that with them at that age, I see it here as well, and his vocabulary is quite limited. While impressive for being his age, I'm just more like I have to realize, oh yeah, he's not there yet.
Yeah. 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 What about your biggest success? Like, what is the thing when you think about being a dad and you can brag on yourself here? Is like, yeah, I did that really good. I did a great job at that. I'm really proud of that moment.
I think as dads, we should always give self fives for just being the fun one. Sometimes, it's you gotta always enjoy that. I think it's really, at least I've experienced it. I get to, I really get to play with them and get to be a little bit more, do a lot more kind of rough housing. So that's always fun to share with us. But wrestling moves on the bed,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
he's just enjoying it, or walking. I mean, it's as simple as one of my favorite things is just he will go outside. He wants to walk. We want him to walk, but sometimes he'll ask me to go on top of your head, which just means he's sitting on my shoulders.
Yeah.
But he's getting bigger, so it's getting a little heavier. But it's just one of those things. It's just fun. I like walking, like just walking through New York, and just having him. I mean, we may look like tourists by the way he does it, but I'm like, what? It's fine. It's just this. It's cool going to the park or going somewhere, and he's just happy, bopping his head, enjoying, living life and doing whatever he wants. But yeah, I think that's really my favorite part. My success is that he just seeing how secure and loving he is. He has a loving family. Both sides of his grandparents love him. His aunt sees him all the time. If he sees other family members, that's great. But he's just excited. Just happy to just play. Where it's like now you're super tired and you're loopy because we didn't get you into bath and bed on time. Now it's going to be a struggle for us,
Yeah.
but you had fun, and that's the thing. So no, I love seeing that, and honestly, I just also like seeing that how much he takes in a lot of information. Like he knows a lot. Like I
Yeah.
don't know. I mean, just even as simple to me, I don't. knowing all the planets and the dwarf planets is just like, what? That's ridiculous to me. Or even like Beetlejuice, one of the stars, and I'm like, not Beetlejuice, from the movie. I'm just like, what are you
Yeah.
talking about? Or just he's always so curious. Oh, what's this? What's that? What's that? That's a convertible. Convertible. Close convertible. Um, yeah. It's just one of those. It's just fun. I mean, the good moments are good. I had a we had an experience where we were getting a car and we got the car, but there was an issue with it. Like the heat wasn't going on, so and it was hot, and it was going on a long trip, and we had to get to the dealership because it was a problem, and we were able to do so because we were just about we were. It was like a week since we got the car, and we was having issues. Like this is not supposed to happen at all. But they fixed it, whatever. But the manager came in, and he's so dramatic on how he said it, but he was absolutely sincere and like really meant it. He told me, he's like talking about kids. He's like, I have kids of my own, and he's like, he goes like hold his hands, and it's like, it is the scariest thing, but also the happiest thing in your life. I was like, yeah, it's true. I get it. I'm like, this was pretty scary, a little having heat stroke, but I do see the whole happiness part. Yeah, no, it's great. You do see it's I'm now witnessing him at the playground as my dad saw me, where he had the experience where he hated when I was in the playground doing the monkey bars and everything. He just saw it as the park as one giant death trap, and I'm seeing my son just playing around. I'm like, oh yeah, okay, I get what my dad's saying. I'm like, all right, no, get off that, don't climb on that, no,
Yeah.
climb here, and
Yeah. It's so cool to like those things are like experiential learning. Like it's very hard to feel those things and experience those things
yeah,
until you're a dad. And like I think now of like the number of times I feel like I need to say thank you to my parents
yeah,
for like what they did when I was growing up. I'm like, oh, now I get it. Now I know why you said that, or now I know why you did that, or wouldn't let me do this or that. I'm like, you can't in the moment as a kid grasp that. But once you become a parent yourself, you're like, oh, this makes so much more sense now. And
oh,
I'm
I'm not
turning it
looking
into my
forward to
dad.
when they're a teenager.
Oh yeah, yeah,
Goodness.
yeah,
Yeah, it's an interesting trip. Like I remember, even somebody was saying that everybody hates babies or kids on airplanes, or they have have meltdowns and everything. And I remember reading something, and again, it's just as simple as they can't express themselves. They're upset. Their brains are developing, so it's all about development. They don't know how to interact, and it's like, oh, now I know that. Now I understand. Yeah, yeah, I've been there, buddy.
yeah,
Keep keep on the good fight. We all know you're getting the pass.
yeah, yeah. You always know the other parents on the plane because they're just like, mm-hmm, yep,
Yep. He's like, we got it. No worries.
yeah, yeah. Very cool. Well, try to keep these around 30 minutes, so we're just about at time. But before we go, um, where can people find you online? Give yourself a little plug here.
All right. So if you want to look and follow me, it's at brandedbaron.com, BRANDEDBARON.com. I have, on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, Twitter or X, whatever you want to call it, Threads, where we met. It's Branded Baron. It's everything. I'm sure you type in Branded Baron, you'll find me. You're looking for a mood board on Pinterest, Brandon Barron. I might have some stuff for you. Um, so it's really that. If you have an online store for some, if you're into T-shirts or some stickers, I do offer a couple items like that. I'm sure I'll throw on my kids coloring book if you have a little one as well. Just I have an Etsy shop too. You can search on that, but that's it's the kind of the hidden secret out there. If you want to focus on put it on your store, just have one of those. But yeah, that's how you can find me. I'm just all around, just dropping as much information out there. So follow me. Let's talk. Let's interact. I'm all about connect with other people, see how we can grow, and it's gonna be especially for the designers and dad designers, it's gonna be a fun community. So let's enjoy. Let's have a good time.
Awesome, Joe. Thanks for coming on and thanks for sharing about yourself and your family.
Thank you. I appreciate it.